Stem cells. What are they? What do they do? And how do they do it? Stem cells are an undifferentiated cell that has the ability to form into many different kinds of cells within the body. Stem cells are unique because when they undergo cell division, there are two different kinds that they can undergo: symmetrical and asymmetrical. With symmetrical division, this is also known as self-renewal, and symmetrical division produces two identical stem cells. So it's just like mitosis, you create two identical copies of the cell. But with asymmetrical division, it's also called differentiation. And when this process happens, you produce one identical stem cell and one specialized cell. What do stem cells do then? What is their purpose for us? Stem cells are crucial in the earliest stages of development, when you're just a little sperm and an egg that has been fertilized. Stem cells are what we are made out of. So in the earliest stages of development, stem cells are totipotent. That means they have the ability to become any kind of cell in the body. So they start to differentiate and become these cells that will then become your embryo and become you. Adult stem cells are multipotent, meaning that they can only become a limited amount of cells in the body. Adult stem cells are more responsible for repairing damage, like muscle tears. Now, I know I may have said some words that you've never heard before, like toti or multipotent, but there are actually 4 different potencies that stem cells can be: toti, pluri, multi, and uni. Totipotent cells we've already gone over. They can become any cell in the body, but they can also become placenta or cells needed in development of birth. Later in the embryonic stage, we get embryonic stem cells, which are pluripotent, meaning they can become any cell in the body, but they cannot become the placenta or the cells in the womb. And then later on in your life, your adult stem cells, as I've already gone over, are multipotent, meaning they can become limited amounts of cells. For an example, there's a cell found in the bone marrow called hematopoietic stem cells. These stem cells are for various types of blood cells. So they can't become bone marrow cells, or they cannot become skin cells. They just become different kinds of blood cells. And unipotent cells, as you can imagine, only become one kind of cell. So skin stem cells become skin cells. How come stem cells lose their potency over time?
Over time, stem cells undergo a change called cell fate determination. There are 3 stages of cell fate determination: specification, where the cell is leaning towards a specific fate but is still reversible; determination, the fate is locked in, cell is committed, and even if placed elsewhere; and the final stage, differentiation, which will be explained in a moment. This happens for many reasons. As these cells divide, certain genes are permanently turned off, and every time a cell divides, its telomeres get shorter, and short telomeres eventually cause the cells to stop dividing, cell damage builds up, etc. Though, there are 2 main influences on a cell fate. Intrinsic factors are internal molecules like mRNA and proteins inherited in cell division. Extrinsic signals, these are external cues like signals from cells nearby and other molecules.
How do stem cells do what they do? How do stem cells function? Stem cells undergo a process called differentiation. See, stem cells have genes that are either silent or active, depending on signals that they receive. Differentiating involves activating specific genes within the cell that cause the cell to start to become specialized. These signals are received by receptors in the plasma membrane that bond to a ligand, a signaling molecule. And when this receptor bonds to a ligand, it initiates a cellular response which causes a signal transduction pathway to form within the cell, taking the signal that the ligand was bringing and bringing it to usually the nucleus, where it calls for a specific gene to be activated, a process to be begun, a protein to be synthesized, anything that the cell needs to become specialized or do what it needs to do. Scientists have developed a way to create an iPSC, an induced pluripotent stem cell, by reprogramming an adult cell into its embryonic-like state. Stem cells have an incredibly promising future in medicine, being able to regenerate cells that are damaged or replace cells that are damaging our bodies makes the future bright for treatments in degenerative diseases such as cancer or neurological diseases such as Alzheimer's. Thanks for watching our video on stem cells. We hope you learned something, and we hope you had fun. Ligand. There are lots of different kinds.